If you ever wished you had a wise grandpa to teach you things, this is for you. A young man asked his grandpa for some life advice, but instead of saying anything, the grandpa handed the young man 2 cactuses. Perplexed, the young man asked what these cactuses had anything to do with his decision. Plant one of these in my backyard, then keep the other on your windowsill back home, he instructed. The cactuses will give you clarity. But many months went by, and the young man hadn't learned anything. Still nothing, the young man sighed when he returned to his grandpa's house many months later. But did you look out the back window? His grandpa grinned, because there stood a thriving cactus much bigger than the one on the windowsill. You see, the grandpa smiled, the conditions outside are much hotter and harsher than those on the windowsill. Yet the outdoor cactus thrived while the indoor cactus just survived. That's what we humans have in common with cactuses. Put us in a comfortable setting and we'll be just fine. But all of those who have grown first ventured out of their comfort zone. But Grandpa, the young man objected, if we didn't live in the desert, the indoor cactus would surely do better. Aha, his grandpa smiled. You see, we often hear the words, grow where you're planted. But the problem is, you wouldn't find a cactus thriving in the Arctic. It's just as important to get out of your comfort zone as it is to make sure you're in the right environment. But how will I know if it's right? The young man asked. To this, his grandpa smiled. You'll know, he said. The problem was, the young man winded up in the exact wrong environment just a short while later. Instead of pursuing his passion, he found himself in a job that slowly ate away at him. Because he disliked it so much, he woke up each day dreading work. That was when he saw it. On the windowsill, where he had placed it on day 1, a now dry and nearly dead cactus. It was his sign. A wave of emotions flooded him as he remembered his grandpa's lesson. Without a second thought, he put in his 2 weeks, called his grandpa, and made plans to stop by that very same day. You were right, he cheered as he strolled inside, the potted cactus in hand. His grandpa raised a cautious eyebrow. What do you mean? The young man went on to explain that he had never left his comfort zone by taking a job he deemed as safe, but that now he was ready to pursue his true passion, to reclaim the time he had wasted. But as he finished speaking, he was surprised by his grandpa's reaction. Well, he said, I think there's something you may have missed. Come with me. Outside, just a few steps away from the thriving cactus they had planted together, was the shattered remains of a clay pot. The same clay pot that once held the cactus. Let me ask you, the grandpa said as he kneeled down for one of the pieces. What purpose do you feel the clay pot serves? Perplexed once again, the young man shrugged. I'll tell you, his grandpa smirked. It's all about time. Time for the cactus to lengthen its roots. Time for it to sprout. And time for it to get a strong foundation for it to hopefully one day thrive in a backyard like this. You mentioned that you wanted to reclaim the time you had wasted. But you see, the time wasn't wasted at all. Even if you weren't in the right place, you needed the time in your personal clay pot to explore your options, time to make mistakes, and time to learn what truly matters. With his grandpa's words at heart, the young man knelt down with his struggling cactus, removing it from its clay pot and planting it a few steps away from the cactus that started at the same time. His grandpa noticed him eyeing the much larger cactus. He'll catch up quick, you can be sure of that, his grandpa chuckled. But as with cactuses that started at the same time, you may feel tempted to compare yourself to those your same age, or even younger, those who started pursuing your very same passion just a few years earlier. But if you noticed, no 2 cactuses look exactly alike. They grow arms in different places. Our journeys unfold in different ways too, so just focus on your own growth rather than let the beauty of your journey seem lesser just because it's different. With his grandpa's wisdom at heart, the young man headed off. But before he could leave, his grandpa had one last piece of wisdom to share. That if you get stuck with a few prickers along the way, then that's part of the journey too.